Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining me for today's webinar. I'm Anne Livingston, and I will be the moderator for today's webinar. The webinar today is focused on supporting older people to be more connected. Many of you who have joined us before know that the Community Care Smart Assistive Technology Collaborative is bringing together a range of community care service providers both in Australia and internationally in collaborating on issues and practices related to smart assistive technology and digital inclusion. Today's webinar is brought together by Community Resourcing for the Community Care Smart Assistive Technology Collaborative. If you haven't already registered for our collaborative, on your site now is the URL to join our collaborative. Register will allow you to access our webinars and to get information on upcoming webinars and activities within the collaborative. If you've joined us from previous webinars, that you'll know that they are designed from feedback and requests that we have received through the collaborative. Our focus of our webinars is bringing together local, international and national perspectives in research and development, as well as in the deployment of smart assistive technology and new approaches to digital inclusion in the community care sector. By way of disclaimer, we need to note that neither Global Community Resourcing or the Community Care Smart Assistive Technology Collaborative are promoting or endorsing any particular product, research entity or organisation. Rather, the purpose of our webinars is to serve to inform viewers of various developments and deployments in place in the sector. We welcome questions, but I just want to let viewers know how to post those questions. Those of you who are regular flyers with our webinar program will know that the earlier you get in your questions, the more questions we can get through towards the end of the session. Those of you who joined us at previous webinars will know that you are put on mute for interests of recording, but that you can type your messages into the message pane at the right of your screen. The screen here will just show you where to chat with us if you have any problems and where to type your question. Today's webinar is really on an issue that's really close to the heart of many people in our collaborative. We know that while the digital divide is between older people is decreasing, that the impacts of the divide are increasing. And we know that there are a number of groups within our collaborative just focusing on digital inclusion. We're aiming to do a whole lot of activities, concentrated activities around digital inclusion, and I'll talk a little bit later. But it's my pleasure today to welcome to the webinar our presenter today. So welcome Jess Wilson. Jess is joining us today to talk about the importance of digital inclusion, and she'll provide a range of insights from her work into ways of supporting older people to become more digitally connected. Jess Wilson is the National Director for the Good Things Foundation Australia. This foundation is focused on supporting all Australians to thrive in the digital world. Jess has worked in human services in Australia over the past 20 years across government and not-for-profit sectors. Her roles have ranged from direct service delivery to delivery of statewide health promotion campaigns, strategic policy development, program and legislative review to senior executive roles. It's our great pleasure to welcome you, Jess, to today's webinar.
Thanks, Anne, and thanks everybody for having me today. It's a real pleasure to be recording this webinar and to have been invited. So I really appreciate the invitation from you, Anne, to talk a bit about the work that we're doing and to see if it resonates with the community collaborative as well. Before I start, I'd just like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which I'm meeting today, which is the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation. So I'm down in Sydney, but I'd also like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands on which all of the listeners are watching and listening today across the country. As Anne said, I'm going to talk a bit to you about the Be Connected program and how we're working to support older Australians to thrive in a digital world. But before we start, I thought it might be useful to kind of talk to you a bit about who Good Things Foundation is, because not many people have heard about Good Things Foundation. The reason that is because Good Things Foundation's only been in Australia for 1 year. However, we're a social change charity, and we have been working to improve people's lives through the use of digital technology in the UK for about 12 years now. And in that time, we've helped about 2.3 million people to improve their digital skills and to improve their lives by doing that. In the UK, we've got about 5,000 organisations across the country that are supporting people to deliver those digital skills, and we have a range of different programs. So it's not just supporting older people, it's supporting people with disabilities, it's supporting people who have English as a second language and are wanting to learn English to be included. So what I think is really important to us at Good Things Foundation is that we work as part of a network where we work with organisations that are already in the community and support them to do the work that they do better. The other important thing for us to focus on is that actually we know that people who are digitally excluded are often socially excluded as well. So our key focus, the two key focuses that we have as an organisation, are around digital inclusion and social inclusion, knowing that those work really closely together to improve people's lives. So, but as I said, we've been in Australia for only 1 year, really. So we celebrated our birthday in August this year. And in that time, we have managed to set up an office and a team. We've distributed a significant amount of grants. We've done over 30 webinars and over 30 face-to-face events. We have supported about 34,000 learners through our network. And this slide is a little bit out of date now, because we actually have over 1,800 organisations across the country who are in the network right now. So we've been able to do all of that because we came to Australia a year ago to set up the Be Connected network. Now, as you already know, because I know Anne was saying a lot of you are focused on supporting people around digital inclusion, but I just wanted to highlight to you again that as of the most recent report of the Australian Digital Inclusion Index, there are 2.5 million people across our country who are currently not online. That's 2.5 million people who are missing out on the benefits of engaging in the digital world and all of the things that we need to do to engage with the world. Now, the reasons for that, according to the Australian Digital Inclusion Index, and I think this is quite an interesting way of just, segmenting the different issues that people face. One of them is access, and that's really the availability of the internet and the ability to connect with devices. The affordability of access to online, so it's very difficult for people who are not earning a lot of money, who are on the pension, who are on New Start, to be able to afford being online, and we'll talk a bit more about that in a minute. And then there's the focus on ability. So this is where people have not had the opportunity to learn the skills that you need to have to be able to engage with the digital world. So there's 3 key areas that go up to kind of ensuring that people are included in the digital world. Now, this is a graph from the most recent Australian Digital Inclusion Index, and I just wanted to highlight to you some of the details that are on there, because that you can see from there that there are actually a number of different groups of people who are further down on the Australian Digital Inclusion Index. Now, what the index measures is it's a scale between 0 and 100, the 100 being the most digitally included person. But the Australian average is at about 60, and so we're really comparing people to where they are on the Australian average. As you can see from the slide here, quintile 5 on the income quintile, so that's people who are earning very little money, are quite low down on the inclusion index, so they're quite digitally excluded. As are people who are over 65. They're the second number there of people that are most digitally excluded. People who have a lower education are also digitally excluded. And people with disabilities are high there as well, represented in people who are digitally excluded. So there's a significant number of people who make up that 2.5 million people, but probably the different groups that are most interesting and most important for us to focus on are those groups of people who are over 65, who potentially have a disability, who don't have a very good education, and who are not earning significant amount of money. And as I said before, you can see very clearly there the links between digital exclusion and social exclusion. So, as I've said to you, this program, the Be Connected program, is focused mostly on people who are in that over 65 group. So you can see that the largest gaps are between people that are 65 and younger people. So this is not really surprising, given that that people over 65 have not grown up with digital technology, and so have not had, in many cases, the opportunity to learn digital skills. And so the significant gap there is between access but also digital ability. The thing is, though, that's not really the whole story, and so I'm just going to talk to you a little bit about some of the research that has been done around older Australians and digital confidence, because there are other pieces of research that have been done, in particular in the last 12 months, that look at what the story is there. So this is a piece of research that's been commissioned by the Office of the E-Safety Commissioner, and it's looking at what are some of the things that what are some of the reasons why people who are older are not engaging in the digital world. So this research suggests that about 3 out of 10 people in the over 65 age group are highly digitally literate. So that's 7 out of 10 that aren't. And it really does decrease with age. So between 50 and 69, there's about 42% who are feeling like they're highly digitally literate. When you get to the 70+ year group, you find that there's about 21% who are feeling that they are highly digitally literate. And the thing is that what that means is that people are missing out on the opportunities that the digital world provides. And so some of the stats that they provide in this research talks about, you know, that 53% of the people they surveyed had never tried to take and send a photo on a smartphone. Now, that happens all over the world every second of the day, just about. But 53% of these people had never, ever done that. And 51% of them had never tried to install and update an app or a program on a computer. So that's an interesting stat, just to give you some clear things about what people are and are not doing. So sometimes it's actually about that confidence. It's that confidence to try something new. The other reason that people are not online is because they have a real fear of technology. And so this is actually about not wanting to engage because they're concerned about safety, but also they're concerned that they might break something. And so it's really, in this situation, it's about building people's skills and confidence to be able to engage and to not feel that they're going to break something if they have a go. The other one that is about motivations. And so I think what's really important here is to say that although there are significant numbers of people who are older in our community, and by older I'm actually defining it as over 50, which for me doesn't seem very old, but anyway, it is older Australians, and it's actually not that people don't want to get online. There's actually a lot of people that really would like to have support to learn these new skills. They're just not sure how to go about that. In terms of the way that they were saying they would like to learn in this research, 23% of them said that they would like to learn in a face-to-face way from somebody that they know or that they trust. And actually, this next piece of research, which has just been released this year from NBN, indicates that actually when older people do engage in the online world, they are engaging at much faster rates and take-up rates than our younger counterparts. So people who are over 65 are the fastest growing group of taking up informal learning on the internet. And this is of course NBN research, and so this is looking at a comparison between when people don't have access to the NBN and when they do have access to the NBN. Now this is a key piece of information because the NBN is really, despite all of its ups and downs, is providing access to a significant number of people across the country. So the numbers of people who have access to fast broadband is only increasing. And what this research is saying is that when people do have access, that they use it to do a lot more informal learning, particularly in that older age group. It's interesting, at the launch of this research, I met a fantastic woman called Faiza Parks, who calls herself a global citizen. She's 67 now, but at the age of 62, she decided that she was going to become an actor. And so she now has an amazing portfolio, and in fact sent me a photo the other day of her in a video music clip for a fantastic band called the Rubens. Anyway, she uses the internet and the NBN and to learn scripts, to engage with people online. She does online acting classes, and she actually is tutoring other people using those online platforms. So it really just shows some of the things that people are interested and able to do once they're engaged. The other thing though, and this is I think really important research, and this is research that's being done by our team in the UK alongside an organisation called the Centre for Ageing Better. And they wanted to really understand the motivations and the reasons why people were getting online or not getting online. And what was really important about this research was that actually that there are a number of people that are, you know, have the opportunity, have the access, can afford it, but are making a very clear decision that actually they don't want to engage online. They're not interested in doing it. They know the benefits, but they just don't see the need for it for their own lives at this point. And I think what's really important for us is that we respect that choice. I think absolutely being online should be a choice, and there should be the opportunity for people to have access to services and support offline as well as online. But I think what's also interesting about this research was that what happened when people had a significant event in their life, like a bereavement, or that they became retired, or they had some health issues, that actually that was the time where people were feeling more isolated and actually could see that having the access to the internet could be a fantastic opportunity to connect with people or to use it to improve their lives. And so it was really at those times where people were most interested and most engaged in learning. But I think what was really important about this was for us to be really clear that, that actually some people are just not interested, and that should be okay. But if there is a change in life and things do change for people, that there is support available for people to learn those skills when and if they want to. Now, before I talk about the Be Connected program, I just wanted to acknowledge that certainly the Be Connected program is not the only program that's been running in Australia to support older Australians in learning digital skills. So there has been, prior to this program, the Broadband for Seniors program, which was running across the country, and certainly we have a lot of Broadband for Seniors kiosks, as they were now in our new network. So there was some great work happened there. Likewise, there's Tech Savvy Seniors that has been running, funded by Telstra and state governments in certain states across the country, who are providing support to people in libraries, mostly in that context, to learn new digital skills. And so that's been a really fantastic program as well. As well, we've also had for 20 years the Australian Seniors Computer Clubs Association, ASCA, who has been running support classes and clubs to support people to learn digital skills and to learn all of the new technologies that are coming through, and have been doing that work for a significant period of time, and a really great job as well. They have 120 clubs across the country. But I am here to talk about Be Connected and to tell you a bit about the Be Connected program and I suppose what we're aiming to do. So the Be Connected program is an Australian government initiative. It's aimed at increasing the confidence, skills and online safety of older Australians in using digital technology. And it's a partnership between the Department of Social Services, who funds us as Good Things Foundation. It's between the Office of the E-Safety Commissioner and Good Things Foundation, clearly. So I'm going to just tell you a little bit about the different elements of the Be Connected program so you can understand, because there are, with 3 different partners involved, it can feel a little bit complex at some times. But there are 4 parts. So the first part is a portal. So down on the right hand side, there's portal and learning management system for learners. And this is offered by the Office of the E-Safety Commissioner. So that portal is operated and developed by them. So we work very, very closely with them, and the Office of E-Safety has been doing some fantastic work in supporting people across the country to learn digital skills, particularly focused on staying safe online. So it's fantastic to be working alongside them in this project. The other piece, which is the piece that Good Things Foundation runs, is the network. So we are building and supporting a network of community organisations across the country, and Good Things Foundation is the national network manager. So that network is essential for us to be delivering this program. It's a key part of how it works and how it operates across the country. But what we know needs to happen is that there needs to be some funding and support to be able to do that. And so there is a grants program that's run, and I'll talk a bit further about that a little bit later, about the different types of grants. But it's a $20 million grant program over a period of 3 years. And that's started last year and goes to 2020. And then there is going to be a brand and awareness raising campaign probably sometime next year that's going to encourage the older Australians to get online. And that will be run by the Department of Social Services. So look out for that sometime next year. I just wanted to show you, just in a little bit more detail, some of those different sections. And so this is an image of the front page of the learning portal. So this is the Be Connected learning portal, as we call it, and it can be found at www.beconnected.esafety.gov.au. And this site has some fantastic learning resources on it. You can see at the top there's a topic library. You can go through the topic library. Most of the topics and the courses there are open source, so you can go in and have a look at yourself and see the kinds of resources that are there. But it is very focused on people who have very limited skills, so very basic information. The number one course that we have, and this is maintained the whole way through the program, is what is a computer. And so I think that's really showing the kind of area that we are that we're talking to, so the people that are really at that very early stage. There are a lot of other resources in there as well. What is Wi-Fi? What is data? Some information on really how to get started in the digital world. And there's some great videos on there that inspire people to see where they might go and what things they might learn. And some real life stories about people that have really improved their lives through learning how to get online. But from our perspective, it's actually not just about an online course, because I can hear you saying to me, well, you know, why would you have an online course for people that don't know how to use digital technology? Well, this is kind of where the Be Connected Network comes in, because from our perspective, the approach that Good Things Foundation takes and promotes is that this is actually about where digital and people come together. So there's fantastic learning resources on the website, but what people really want, and what we heard from the research earlier today, was that actually people want that opportunity to learn from people face to face. And so this is where the network of organisations comes in. So this is just a quick shot of our network partner website, which has information and resources for organisations who do join our network. And I know it can be a bit confusing because there are two websites. There's one for learners and there's one for network partners or for community organisations. But it works it works better for us because this way we have the opportunity to add things and provide resources and all of those kinds of things ourselves. And we have a whole lot of news and events you can see there, and we have webinars that run regularly. I suppose the important thing about the network is that from our perspective, it's really, really varied. This is actually a bit of an older map now, but it gives you a bit of an idea about the spread of organisations that we have across the country. We do have some organisations in remote places, and we've actually got some right up to the top of the Cape now. I notice that one's not on there at the moment. But I think the important thing about the network is that it is really varied. Whereas some of the other programs, so Tech Savvy Seniors is run in libraries, we have lots of libraries in our network, but we also have community centres, and we have men's sheds, and we have country women's associations, and we have disability service providers, and we have seniors computer clubs and health centres. I think what's really important to me and what I've been focused on in supporting the growth of this network over the last 12 months is that what we want is for anybody that's wanting to access support, and that they have somewhere where they already feel comfortable, that they're then able to access that support in that place. And so this is really important for us because we want to make sure that there is a network partner and people are supported to learn those skills wherever they are in the country and wherever they feel comfortable. That's why we've been really focused on making the network as broad as possible. The network really is key to the way that we deliver programs and Good Things Foundation. And the reason is that we believe that community organisations know their communities best. You know who the people are that need support, and you know how best to engage them. And so we're not here to tell you exactly how to do this. We're just here to provide you with some support, some resources, and a little bit of funding for you to be able to start a program and use the resources that are available to tailor it to the way that it's going to work best in your community. This is a little bit, this slide is something that we're kind of trying to do. We've done a bit more work now around our other area. You'll see the other area is quite significant there, but just to kind of give you the sense of the percentages and the areas of the types of organisations that are in there. Now, one of the ones that I know is really important to you is the disability area and providing community care in that type of service. And actually, although it's not represented just here, we do have a number of organisations in our network who are providing support to people with disabilities. Vision Australia is across the country, and they've certainly provided, they're linked up with our network reasonably recently. We have a whole lot of disability service providers who are using this as an opportunity to not only support people who are over 50, but actually to provide support to people who are under 50, because although the Be Connected program is focused on people who are over 50, which really isn't that old, but people who are over 50, the resources that are available are useful for anybody who is at that area, at that stage of needing basic digital skills support. So really, this is available for people to use no matter what. And we would certainly encourage any of you to join the network if you haven't already. One of the key reasons we would suggest for you to join the network is that we have a grants program. As I said before, we've got the Be Connected Grants program is a $20 million grants program over a 3-year period. So that's a significant amount of money for us to be able to distribute out to community organisations across the country. Now we now have 4 different types of grants, but these are the 3 key ones that are running most of the time. So the first one is for an activation grant, and that's a $2,000 grant that's available to organisations who want to just get started in the network. And all you have to do for that $2,000 is to register 30 older Australians on the Learning website over a 10-month period. So that's only 3 people a month. It's not a significant amount. And there are some smaller numbers and for people that are in remote areas as well. So it goes down by half. But $2,000 is really to get you started. What we've seen people spend that money on to date has been really around technology mostly, so on computers and tablets, and also on accessing broadband, so paying for broadband connection. The other thing people use it for is volunteer expenses. So if you need to get police checks or that kind of thing, then you can use that money for that. It's actually, you can use it for anything except building a building. You can't use it for construction costs. So anything that you think is going to be useful to be able to support you to engage people in the digital world and to start up a Be Connected program, you can use that money for that. We then have the Building Digital Skills Grant, which is really the next step along, and that's to make sure that people are able to continue those programs. The numbers go up a little bit in the next lot, but it's between $2,500 to $15,000 that's available for people to continue those programs after they've been able to already show their commitment to the program by registering around 24 learners on the website. The third one is the Capacity Builder Grant, and this is for organisations that are a bit bigger and are really engaged in supporting people around digital inclusion. So we have looked for innovative community organisations with strong existing networks, people that are really keen to try a new way of delivering this kind of program, or are really interested in supporting other organisations to engage in this. And so that's a $50,000 grant that's available. And we've actually got the next round of that launching at the end of this month. So that will be a 12-month project. It launches on the I think it's the 23rd of October, closes at the end of November, and that's for a 12-month project starting early next year. Now, I just wanted to kind of highlight to you some of the organisations we've currently got as capacity builders, and point out to you the variety that we have there. So some of the ones that you might be interested in, we have organisations like YourLink, who are going into aged care facilities and supporting people to learn how to develop digital skills within the aged care context, and that they do a lot of support of the staff in particular. We also have Carers Victoria, who are looking at how they're wanting to engage carers in the digital world, knowing that a significant number of the people that are in their carer support groups are over 50 and are supporting people who have a disability or a significant medical condition, and they really are wanting to engage them in the digital world. So we're supporting their support groups to get engaged in this as well. The other one is Home Care Heroes. So Home Care Heroes does provide community care programs to people, particularly focused on community inclusion, and so they are training their workers to support people around digital inclusion as they go out, and provide them support around other things, so that if people are interested in learning digital skills, then their support workers are able to do that. Just as a completely different one, we have Bowls Australia. That's a capacity builder because there are bowls clubs all over the country, and they're very keen to make sure that their members are engaged in the digital world as well. And so looking at how they engage people through the bowls clubs. And again, that's really showing that we're interested in looking at where people go for support and engage in the community, and providing them with that opportunity to learn things in that location. So that's just a bit about the kinds of capacity builders that are already doing some work in the community. But as I said, there's a new round coming. So if people are interested, please do come and contact us. Now these stats are a little bit old, unfortunately, because we're just in the middle of doing our next quarter of stats right this moment. But by June 2018, network partners across the country had supported about 4,500 people to learn new digital skills through the Be Connected Learning Portal. Now, that is, I know, has almost doubled by now, so it's close to 8,000, I think. And also, we're interested in looking at how many people have supported outside the Be Connected Learning Portal as well. And so there was about 30,000 people that people had supported by then too. I think what's really interesting from that is that actually people who had access support as a Be Connected network partner, so that's learners who had access support from a Be Connected network partner, 86% of them were really satisfied or very satisfied with the support that they were provided. So that's a fantastic stat for our network providers, and really shows that research that said people want to learn from people face to face is absolutely right. Just a quick kind of showing you that some of the network partners that we have and some of the feedback that they've had from their community. Now, both of these are libraries, unfortunately. I'm sorry, I should have changed that. But actually, you know, a couple of them were just showing how fantastic, because they hadn't actually delivered, although lots of libraries have delivered digital inclusion programs before. This one hadn't. So and so she was just suggesting that the feedback from the community was really positive, and that they would really keen to access that support in that space. The other thing is just really about the grants that people have been provided. So they've, you know, received great feedback about the program and accessed the support from us, but also they're reaching out to people who'd never ever stepped foot in a library before. So that's fantastic there. And actually that photo down on the left-hand side they're actually an RSL club who are coming into the library to access that support and to those programs. So it's actually really a partnership approach out there as well. Now, we're really interested in stats and looking at the impact of our program here at Good Things Foundation. And so we don't just want to see how many people are accessing support, we actually want to see whether they're learning something from that as well. And so what we've got here is that we actually, we have a survey that's on the website, or people are sent as they learn, they connect as a learner on the website. And this is really showing, although it's very small numbers initially, because, you know, people need to feel pretty confident in filling in a survey before they'll do that. So that does take a bit longer for people. But 46% of them agreed that Be Connected website had improved their digital skills. So I think that's a pretty good start early on in the program. 39% agree that Be Connected websites increase their social connection. So that's one for us to really look at working on, I think, and making sure that that focuses. But there is going to be further courses on looking at connecting with friends and family. So that's probably likely to improve. 49% agreed that it had improved their confidence. And 57% agreed that Be Connected had improved their confidence about staying safe online. And that's not surprising from an e-safety website. So I'm really pleased that those stats are out there. Just as a little bit of an example about some of who our learners are. So we've got Azalea here, which is a fantastic name for her because she is really a plant fanatic. She loves plants, and she was not at all interested in looking at the internet until she worked out that she could actually research plants and gardening online, and now she is happily engaged in the digital world. She's not really interested in social media or those other parts just yet, but she is really using it to improve the way that she engages in the world of gardening. So that's fantastic for Azalea. And then we've got Dita, who's from the Langwarren's men's shed. We've got a number of men's sheds in our network, but he wasn't all that interested either until he learned that he could buy things online and save money. And so actually he was really thrilled that he was able to buy a part for his car online, and that it was actually even $50 cheaper, despite the fact that he had to pay postage. So that's fantastic too. So just a couple of examples of the types of learners that we have. Now, this is a shameless plug because Get Online Week is happening for the first time in Australia next year. I mentioned next week, the 15th to 21st of October 2018. So I mentioned earlier that we have the Department of Social Services is going to run a campaign to try and engage older Australians in learning new digital skills. But because that hasn't happened yet, we were very keen to look at how we could actually engage community organisations in a campaign to really encourage their communities to get online. So Get Online Week has been running in our UK office and in the UK for about the last 12 years. And so we decided to bring it for the first time to Australia. In the time it's been in the UK, they've supported over 500,000 people to get online in that week. And so we're really keen to make this a real success here in Australia. And we have been absolutely overwhelmed by the feedback from people. And we've got over 500 organisations so far participating in Get Online Week, and they are doing all sorts of events across Australia, particularly around the theme of try one thing. So hashtag try one thing is really about saying to people, you don't have to be a coder. You don't have to know how to use Excel to do a whole lot of fancy things. All you need to do is just try one thing that might engage you in the digital world. Try one thing, like taking a photo or sharing something online or sending an email for the first time. I just tried my one thing last week because I was trying to work out what I was going to try, and I tried virtual reality for the first time, which was just amazing. And that was at one of our network partners in Tasmania. So I think what we're saying to people is getting online doesn't have to be scary, and we would really encourage you and your community to get involved in Get Online Week. You can see the website is down there, and it is there's a whole whole lot of resources on there for you about how to run an event. There's social media posts that you can do as well. It's all there ready for you to get involved. And really, we're seeing this as a community-based digital inclusion campaign to promote the fact that it's really important for us to make sure we don't leave those 2.5 million people in Australia behind. This is not just focused on people over 50. Get Online Week is a campaign that's focused on anybody that you think could benefit from the digital world. So if you want to get involved, please go to the website and also use the hashtag #TryOneThing next week. Big plug. So I suppose just to kind of finish off, this is really just about how you could get involved. I think we are really wanting to encourage as many organisations across the country to be involved in the Be Connected program, because we think the resources are really useful to you. You can use them how you want to. You can use them alongside other resources that you use, but they are high quality, they are updated now, and so we would certainly encourage you, and particularly because we also have funding that's available to support people to deliver programs. So if you want to get engaged with the Be Connected network, the website's on there, or you can email us at connect@goodthingsfoundation.org, or you can even call us on 02 9051 9292, and the team here would be really happy to talk to you about getting engaged in the program. So that's it from me in terms of my presentation today. I hope it's been really useful, and I'm hoping that we'll be able to have some questions now too that people have got for me. I know there's not a significant amount of time, but hopefully enough time for people to ask questions if you have them.
Thanks, Jess. Great presentation. The question pane is full. So without further ado, I'll go to the question from Natalie. Thanks, Natalie, for that question. And Natalie asks, does your network mainly consist of charities and providers, or do you also have commercial organisations offering digital services to address social inclusion through digital means?
Yeah, look, we have a real variety of organisations. That's a really great question. We have a real variety of organisations. I would suggest that most of them are not-for-profit organisations, but that's not stopping. We don't actually say to people that you have to be a not-for-profit to be engaged. I think as long as people understand what the focus of the network is and actually are happy to deliver the program. So the Be Connected program has to be delivered free. Nobody can use those resources and go out and charge for them. And so we certainly do have organisations that have started up. We've got a number of people that have decided that it's a need in their community, and they've started up their own little company, and they've accessed support, but they're delivering programs to people in their communities free. So the answer to that question is no, you don't have to be not-for-profit, but you do have to make sure that you are delivering the program in the way that it's supposed to be delivered.
Thank you. Jess, the next question's from Rob. The government, a number of government agencies and state and territory governments have digital first strategies and approaches. What does your Be Connect, how does your Be Connect interface with those, and are there any particular initiatives that you know around interfacing with My Aged Care?
Yeah, so that is absolutely a key issue that's coming up from our perspective, from the network around people's access. And I suppose one of our key areas of focus is really around supporting people who need those really basic skills. So at the moment, there's not any resources on the Be Connected eSafety site about how to engage with those sites, but we do know that it's MyGov and the NDIA and My Aged Care are all significant portals that the government has, and they are talking about digital first. But I suppose this is a way of engaging people in learning those very basic skills to start with. It is something that we're aware of and is coming up more and more for us in the network, and so we're looking at how we can either develop or resources around supporting organisations to support people to engage with those, or working with other organisations that already have them. We're not interested in kind of doubling up if we can provide resources to other people that have already been developed out there. So that's certainly our focus. I hope that answers the question.
Thanks, Jess. That's great. Probably only got time for 2 more questions. This question is from Dougie. Dougie's asking, do you have any particular key issues that you think are important to consider up front when you're looking at introducing models of digital inclusion, particularly for people with disabilities?
I think the key thing to be aware of is that, I mean, as all of you would know already, is that different people start in different places. And so when you're starting up a program, it's really about working out who are the best people in your organisation and community to deliver that support to people, but also that people that are learning will start from a whole range of different places. And what we suggest is that you start where people are most interested. And so, for example, my brother has a disability and he is most interested in looking up the footy scores. And so when he first got a smartphone, that was one of the first things that he learnt how to do, is how to look up the footy scores. But I think one of the other key areas that's really important is the area of safety, because we know that although we're talking about the benefits of the digital world, that there are actually a whole lot of people out there who are not using the internet for good. And so I think it's really about, the most important thing is about talking to people about how to be safe online, and those areas of you know, how you might notice if something doesn't quite seem just right, and if you're not quite sure, to ask for help. So I think that's probably one of the key things. In terms of starting a program, I think the benefit is using the resources that are available. And like I've said, Be Connected is one of those resources. There are lots of other resources that are already available to support people around digital inclusion, and other programs that are focused on people that have more skills. So people like ASCA, and there's a new program called Digital Springboard that's focusing on people who are looking for jobs. So there are multiple different programs that are available. So I think it's really about looking at what are the needs in your community and what are the resources that are going to support you to start that program best.
Terrific. Our last question is from Hannah. What advice could you give to older people living in rural and remote communities, particularly where those communities don't have the scale to have public libraries, etc.?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of different, we're working with people in a range of different rural communities, and I would suggest that that there are groups around that are really interested. We actually also suggest to people, if you're in a rural community and you have a group of people that are wanting to learn, then there's nothing stopping you from setting up your own kind of group and making that happen yourself. Like, you don't, for our Be Connected program, you don't actually have to have an ABN to become a network partner initially. So if you wanted to start a little group yourself and look at how you might support your friends and family to learn new digital skills, then you're very welcome to do that, and we can support you to do that. But I suppose that's the other reason why we've said, and we're most interested in looking at those kinds of organisations that are already there. So the CWAs that are around are really interested in looking at how they can support digital inclusion for their members, or starting a project in their CWA hall. So I think it's about using the community resources that are there. And if you've got any questions about how to maybe do that, then please do get in contact with us, because we're happy to talk to you about whether there's a location in your area, or whether there's actually the opportunity for you to start something yourself.
Thank you, Jess. Wonderful information, and thank you for being willing to present that today and talk about the opportunities available to assist older people and the general community to be more digitally included. Thank you very much.
No problem. Thank you for having me. It's been great.
Thank you. Just by way of closing today's session, we just wanted to remind you of 3 other recent webinars that we've undertaken in the last couple of weeks. Firstly, they're all available for access now on our site. The first one was with Dr. Carrie Peterson from the World Health Organization. Carrie talked about how innovation is supporting people with early onset dementia to live more independently and engaged in their communities. Our second one that was very interesting and talked about some research that Deepika Singh is doing in Austria, looking at user perceptions and attitudes towards smart home technologies. We're mirroring and supporting Deepika in her research survey, and you'll see that also online, and we'd encourage you to participate in her survey. The third one is by Dr. Dimity Dorman, and Dimity talked about the role human bionics is playing in reforming support services and care. So you can access these webinars on the Community Care Smart Assistive Technology Collaborative YouTube channel. And we've got more events coming up in shortly, including a webinar with HireUp, looking at the future for support, harnessing technologies to forge meaningful connections. Now that's on Thursday the 8th of November at 10 a.m. Brisbane time, I believe, and we've got to be a bit cautious of daylight saving during this time. More webinars are planned in November, and we'll be looking forward to bringing them to your attention. A particular focus for us also is around digital inclusion, and we'll be providing a range of focused digital inclusion webinars over the coming weeks and months, including we're planning to just be involved actively in the Get Online Week. From the 15th to the 21st of October, and we thank you for this initiative. We're very committed to increasing the digital skills of Australians, and it's hopefully this will hopefully put Australia on the map for the digital inclusion campaign, which we have been following in the UK. So thank you very much for this initiative, Jess, and we're keen to focus on how people can access those government websites that are making life somewhat difficult for some people to access social and community services currently. So that's going to be our focus of try one new thing, and we look forward to hashtagging that throughout that week. Just for those members around the state who might be coming to the Information Technology and Aged Care Conference, or ITAC as it's commonly known. ITAC's running from the 21st to the 22nd of November, but we're hosting a site visit along with the ITAC of the Tonsley Innovation Precinct. The site visit is only limited to 80 people, so you need to register quickly, but will also involve things like looking at the Aged Care Living Lab and other initiatives that are operating in the Tonsley precinct. The contact there is through the ITAC conference website at www.itacconference.com.au. Just a reminder, if you haven't already done so, please go online and register at the Collaborative. You're able to access today's presentation shortly, and please check the Collaborative for more information on upcoming events. If you have any further questions or queries, the Smart Assistive Technology Collaborative website is there for you to access. Thank you again, everyone who made today's webinar possible. I'd like to thank the project team at the Community Care Smart Assistive Technology Collaborative, and particularly to Georgie, Emma, Claire and Gemma, who are in the background today. And I'd like particularly to thank today's guest speaker, Jess Wilson, for her great insight into how we can work collaboratively and collectively to improve digital inclusion in Australia. Thanks everyone for attending today's session.